Welcome to the DataHangar Form Builder tutorial. The form system allows you to recreate paper-based forms in digital format and attach them to items within DataHangar, such as flights, personnel records, and SMS reports. The system works in two stages. First, you create form templates here in the Form Builder, and then form instances of those templates are created and attached to the relevant items across DataHangar. Let's explore everything the Form Builder has to offer. When you open the Form Builder, you'll see the template selector at the top of the page. Use the drop-down to open an existing form template for editing, or click the New Form Template button to start a fresh template from scratch. Along the top of the editor, you'll find the main toolbar. The font size slider lets you adjust the text size of the entire form. To the right of that is the Allow Confidential toggle. Enabling this on a template allows users to mark individual form instances as confidential when they are created. When a form instance is marked confidential, it can only be viewed by the person who created it and by DataHangar administrators. The Toolbox button toggles the Form Field toolbox on and off. On wider screens, the toolbox sits alongside the editor, but on smaller screens, it automatically switches to a floating mode. When floating, you can drag it anywhere on screen using the toolbox header to keep it out of the way. You can also toggle it open and closed while it is floating. The View Form button opens a live preview of your form, so you can see exactly how it will look and behave when filled out. The Save button saves your current work as a named template, and the Reset button clears the editor back to its default state. Every form is made up of one or more tables. By default, a new form starts with a single 2x2 table. You can increase or decrease the number of rows and columns using the controls on each table. Individual cells can be expanded by spanning them across multiple columns or rows using the span controls. This is useful for creating wider fields or section headers that stretch across the full table width. At the top of each table, you can rename it by clicking directly on the table label. You can also adjust the cell padding using the spacing slider and toggle the table borders on or off for a cleaner visual style. Additional tables can be added using the Add Table button at the bottom of the editor, and any table can be removed using its Delete button. Having multiple tables allows you to create distinct sections within a single form. Now let's go through the form field types. All of the available types are listed in the toolbox, and adding one to your form is as simple as dragging it from the toolbox and dropping it into any cell. Once it's in place, you can double-click the label to rename it to whatever suits your form. Starting at the top, we have the header type. This is just a bold text element, great for labeling a section of your form, like personal information or flight details. Next is the separator, which drops in a horizontal line. It's a simple way to visually break up different parts of your form. Then we have the standard text field, a single line input for things like names, reference numbers, or any short piece of text. You can also pre-populate it with a default value if you want something filled in automatically when a new form instance is created. The date and time fields are exactly what they sound like, date and time pickers for capturing that kind of information cleanly. The text area is similar to the text field, but gives the user a larger area to write in, which is handy for notes, descriptions, or anything that might need a bit more space. The drop-down is a standard selection menu. To set up the options, just click the Edit button on the widget and type each option on its own line. The radio group works in a similar way. It presents a set of options, but displays them as radio buttons, so only one can be selected at a time. Again, click Edit to manage the options. The checkbox is a simple, single tick box, good for yes/no or agree/disagree type questions. The toggle switch does essentially the same thing, but with a more modern on/off switch appearance. Use whichever fits your form style. The scribble pad gives the user a freehand drawing area directly on the form. This is particularly useful for signatures. The key value pair is a more specialized widget. It combines a drop-down menu with a read-only text field. The idea is that each option in the drop-down has a value associated with it, and when the user makes a selection, that value automatically populates the text field. A good example would be a list of locations. The user picks a location name from the drop-down, and the coordinates or relevant code fill in automatically. To set up the pairs, click the Edit button on the widget. Finally, we have the List box. This lets the user build up a list of items during data entry by typing each entry and adding it one at a time. It's useful for things like a list of passengers or a checklist of items carried. One thing worth noting across all of these widgets, every single one has 3 controls in its top right corner. The star marks the field as required, meaning the form cannot be submitted until that field is filled in. The C button opens the conditions editor, which we'll get to in a moment, and the delete button removes the widget from the form entirely. You'll also notice that widget labels can be left blank if you don't need one. When a label is empty, the builder shows a grayed-out numbered placeholder, like checkbox number 1, so you can still identify it and reference it in conditions. That placeholder is only visible here in the builder and won't show up on the actual form. Conditions allow you to control the visibility or availability of form fields based on the state of other fields. This makes it possible to build dynamic, context-sensitive forms. To add a condition, click the C button on the widget you want to be affected. In the Conditions editor, select the Trigger widget. This must be a drop-down, radio group, checkbox, toggle, or key value pair. Then select the operator, either equal to or not equal to, and choose or enter the value to compare against. Finally, select the action: Show, Hide, Enable, or Disable. Click Add to add the condition to the list, and click Save Conditions when you are done. You can add multiple conditions to a single widget. If any show condition is defined, the widget will be hidden by default and will only appear when a show condition is met. Hide conditions override show conditions. Enable and disable conditions work the same way for interactivity. To test your conditions, click View Form and interact with the trigger fields to confirm the expected behavior. When you are ready to save your template, click the Save button. A dialog will appear where you can assign the template to an existing group or create a new group and give the template a name. Templates are organized into groups to keep them easy to manage as your library grows. That covers all the features of the DataHangar Form Builder. In the next tutorial, we will walk through attaching form instances to flight, personnel records, and SMS reports.